Hi guys, and welcome to the Building You podcast with Hayley Mulenda. And this podcast is all things personal development. I know many of you guys have been on my case saying, Hayley, you need to start a podcast. Hell, start the podcast. And look, here we is. We are doing the podcast, and I'm really excited to be doing this because I'm all about building you. I'm all about personal development. I'm all about pouring into yourself, simply because of the fact that the most important thing you can invest into is you. I always say, aspire to be a better you, aspire to be a better version of the person you were yesterday. And I think especially in this time, especially in this generation, everyone's focused on the great accolades, everyone's focused on the great titles, but no one's focused on being a great person. Listen, focus on building you before you focus on building that empire. How I look at personal development is sharpening your edge, in the terms of the fact that we're always focusing on hitting those goals, hitting those targets. And, we think about a dart. When we think about darts, right? You think about hitting that bullseye. But how are you going to hit the bullseye if your edge is blunt? How are you going to stick to that if your edge is blunt? And this is what I think about personal development, is sharpening that edge, not just so you reach the goal, but so you can sustain it. I think so many times we're focused on aspirations, focused on hitting things, but we don't focus on sustaining it. And yes, your skills will get you there. Yes, your looks will get you there. Yes, all these things will get you there, but what will keep you there? Character. And what we're going to be focusing on this podcast is all things you. Reason being is because I'm really about the fruits. Yes, you shall know them by their fruits, but I feel you should know them by their roots as well. Fruits, everyone sees the fruits, but no one really focuses on the roots, and the roots are the most important thing. If you want to have healthy fruits, if you want to have a healthy job, if you want to have a healthy title, a healthy marriage, a healthy friendship, all these things, healthy finances, they all are down to the root. And what is the root? You. I've always seen that many times we focus on all the things happening around us, but we don't focus on all the things happening within us. And there was one thing that I heard yesterday at a speaking engagement. I just literally done a speaking engagement last night, and it inspired me to just literally book the podcast studio and say, yo, start the podcast, Hells, because the reason why I started this is because I've seen there's so many podcasts about how to get your money right. Okay, cool. How to be a better speaker, how to get this, how to get that, how to do this. And it's like, no, how about how to build yourself? How about how to build you? And this is why it's literally just simple, building you. So I can't wait for you to kind of dive in with what we're about to do. In this podcast, we're going to be interviewing different people, different leaders, different people who inspire me, different people who inspire you. And we're going to just be focusing on all things personal development. Reason being is because you have to set yourself the standard. I feel like in this world, we have a standard for everything. We have a standard for relationships. We have a standard for friendships. But why don't we have a standard when it comes to ourselves? Why don't we have a standard when it comes to us, in terms of what we're pouring into, how much time you're spending with yourself, how much time you're spending in terms of sharpening yourself, your brain, your knowledge, your emotions. I feel that, this world is not about IQ anymore, but it's about EQ, about understanding your emotions, what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, where is your time going to. I really am one person that finds it very important to know the seasons you're in, the times you're in, because how is it that we're able to know when winter's coming, when summer's coming? We see the change of weather, but you can't discern the change of weather in your own life. You can't discern the times of change in your own life. You can't discern when a season is changing in your own life. And when we're thinking about seasons is not just about, a job or friendships or relationships. Sometimes it's about you being able to understand that, I need to level up. Sometimes it's a matter of, listen, you've been playing it too good for too long. And sometimes it's about you being great. And I feel that someone like me, especially where I wouldn't necessarily want to call myself a high achiever, but I have high aspirations. I'm one person that's a goal-getter, not a go-getter, a goal-getter, in terms of the fact that I set myself goals and I do it. Literally, I'm filming right now in Guap Studios in London. I messaged them yesterday. I was like, how much is this and that? And I just booked it there and then. It's not one of those things that I had to think about it like, okay, let me just start next month. I said, no, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this now. And I had to literally have a conversation with myself and be like, Hells, you've been playing it good for too long. And this first episode is going to be about your worst, what's your worst nightmare? What's my worst nightmare? My worst nightmare is settling with good. my worst nightmare is settling with good. And this episode is going to be about how we settle at good and how we don't necessarily aspire to be great. And why do I say settle at good is because of the fact that good is your comfort zone. Good is mediocre. And there's one of my favorite quotes by Marianne Williamson, which talks about our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are actually powerful beyond measure. I honestly think that the scariest thing is actually hitting those goals, hitting those targets. When you actually think about the person you can be, when you think about the things you can aspire to be, the things that you can actually, evolve into, whoa, that is scary. Scary, like Nella Rose would say. It's a scary thing. Like, wow, you can actually be a multi-award winning rapper. You can actually be a Grammy winner. You can actually be an Oscar winner. You can actually be an international speaker and best-selling author, New York Times. You can be all these things. But the reason why we settle at good is because being great scares us. Being great is not easy. That's why I always get annoyed when people are like, yeah, I want to do this. It's like, yo, you don't really want to do that. You don't really want to do that, because if you really wanted to, you'd be putting everything into it. You'd be sacrificing your time. You'd be making sure you're investing into resources to learn about it. I have so many people that are like, yeah, Hayley, I want to be a speaker. I want to learn to speak. I want to do this. I want to go on stages. It's like, okay, cool. Where's your show reel? When was let me see the videos. I was like, oh, no, I want to speak, but I haven't done videos yet, or I haven't done this, or I don't read. And it's like, no. Like, before you have the success, there must be a process. You must put yourself in a situation where you are actually processing yourself to attain the success. And this generation, the reason why they settle at good is because they don't like process. Process for them is scary. Process is a very scary thing because, you see the destination, but you don't necessarily know the direction. And, when you think about your maps, you think, okay, cool. Waze will tell you, okay, there's traffic along the way. But life is not like that. Life is not like Waze. Yes, you've got the destination, but sometimes you don't know traffic's on the way until you get on the road. Whereas Waze will tell you there's traffic on the road before, like an hour before you even get to that destination. And sometimes being good is a scary thing. It's a comfortable thing. And I don't want to be good. That's my worst nightmare, to be good. People don't remember you because you're good. If you think about it, it'll be like, yo, that was a good speech. With me, I'm a person of faith. I'm a Christian. So, they'll be like, yo, that was a good sermon. And they'll be like, okay, what did you talk about? I don't know, but it was good. It's like, okay, if it was so good, you should remember it. And okay, another example, when people are like, they're at a good party. Okay, cool. Bro, sis, you're at a good party, but you've been on your phone the whole, there's people that snap parties. Oh, the whole time. It's like that party must have been whack, because for the fact that you're on your phone and you're literally snapping and you're literally videoing, telling everyone, hey, this party's lit, like, if the party was so lit, why are you showing us? Why are you showing us on your phone? Why am I seeing more of the party in your Snapchat than I am actually you enjoying the party? And it makes me think, okay, cool. We spend so much time kind of putting this persona, and I feel like it's so important that we don't settle with good. This is why I one of my biggest fears is settling at potential. I don't think it's a problem for you to spot potential, but it's a problem when you settle at it. Potential isn't good enough. When I think about myself in secondary school, I'd be like, Hayley's a good student and all, and she does all these things, she reads, she does that, but it's always the but at the parents' evening that throws you off. You're there nodding with your, I have an African mom. You're there nodding like, yeah, mom, yeah, I'm lit, and yeah, I'm good in class. I read, I do my homework, my maths. And then you think, when that teacher comes, snakes it and says, but, miss, why are you saying but in that sentence? I would like to know. And the reason why is because of the fact that she spotted the potential in you, but you settled at the potential. And I've seen that many of us will spot potential in ourselves and we will settle at potential. And sometimes that's not good enough. Sometimes you need to be able to have a standard in terms of where you want to go, in terms of the goals you need to set. And you need to have a standard in terms of pouring into you. You will spend so much time pouring into others. You spend so much time refining your skills. You spend so much time university, 9K, 9 flipping K. Yeah, 9K, you're going to lectures, you're learning so much about your degree, but you're not learning enough about you. My mentor, Toby Arimi, always talks about, marriage and relationships, and he talks about, before you go down the aisle, before you say I do, know the I that is saying it. And I really do believe the reason why many people are struggling in relationships, and not just relationships, even friendships, is because they don't know themselves. They don't spend time pouring into themselves. They don't have a standard for themselves. And it's really, really easy for you to fall into a toxic relationship, a toxic environment, a toxic friendship when you don't build you, when you don't focus on sharpening you. So really, this podcast is not just about personal development, but this podcast is actually a reminder to you that you should spend time pouring into yourself, that you should spend time loving yourself. You should love yourself always and all ways. I'll say that again. You should love yourself always and always. You are the most important person to build. I don't understand those people who spend so much time sharpening and building others and they're not doing it for themselves. How can you pour out in a place of minus? You can't pour water out of an empty water bottle. So all these people who are trying to pour out for others and trying to do these things and, ride for others, it's like, you don't even ride for yourself. Keep that same energy for you, bro. Keep that same energy for you. So realistically, I'm going to be sharing obviously my story on here throughout time. I'm going to be interviewing different people, as I said, and we're just going to have a nice conversation. These podcast episodes are not going to be too long, just a nice cheeky 20 minutes, cheeky 25 minutes, and we're just having a real talk, a real conversation, a real talk with Hayley Mulenda. Yeah. And as I said, we're just keeping it real. We are keeping it real. If I think about my brand, and if I think about what do I want people to associate Hayley Mulenda with, it's real. I feel this generation, and not even this generation, just the time that we're in right now, especially with social media, everyone's focusing on building the profile, build the content creators, make sure content's out, make sure you're building the followers, make sure you get the right hashtags. And it's like, yeah, okay, you can build the profile, but if the person starts to crumble, the profile will crumble too. And I feel we need to focus on building the person, refining the person rather than the profile. This is why I said settling at good is not good enough. Settling at good is not good enough, because in order for you to be great, you need to be able to sharpen the person, not just the profile. And yes, you can have a good profile. Yes, you can be looking cute. Yes, you can have that Valencia. You can have that Lagos filter on your face and you be looking cute. You be looking, You know what I'm saying? And you can be looking all these things, but sometimes it's not about looking, it's about being. And this generation, and I keep saying this generation because I'm coming from a Gen Z perspective. I'm coming from a millennials perspective where everyone's trying to look rich. Everyone's trying to look happy. And no one's really focused on cultivating happiness and actually looking wealthy. No one's actually focusing, on being wealthy rather than looking healthy. We've seen so many people who will buy Gucci, the Balenciaga runners. Oh my gosh. I know so many people that have it. And, some people personally that they have the Balenciagas. I'll see them spend 5 bills, 6 bills on a trainer and they're still in minus. Like, some people will be using their overdraft to look rich. They'll be using their overdraft to buy flights to, okay, you bought the flights now, but how are you going to sustain yourself on that trip, sis? You know that girls trip? Yeah. You'd be like, girls trip. Okay, you've used your overdraft to buy those plane tickets. But what about the accommodation? What about the food? What about the food? What about the travel? And this is what I mean in terms of we need to stop. We need to stop with looking good. We need to actually be great. We are called human beings for a reason, not human doings. You can't find identity in what you do. You must find identity in who you are. And it's so, so, so important. You love yourself. It's so important. You put in that time for yourself. Put that time for yourself. So just to round it off in a few, to land the plane. I've been rambling, I've been waffling, but I want the first episode to kind of get to know me as a person, get to know me in terms of why did Hayley even start this? Why did I start this podcast? I started this podcast simply because of the fact that I found myself at one point in my life trying to live up to the expectation of others and not necessarily living up to the expectations of myself. And I found myself refining and building this great name, but I focused on building the great name rather than becoming a great person. So I focused on my name being great rather than me being great as a person. So I was like, yeah, Hayley Mulenda, I need to be this, I need to be that, I need to be that. And yes, I've got a few titles and accolades under my name. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Hayley Mulenda. I'm an international speaker, author, and I'm a change agent. I work with different organizations to focus on well-being, purpose, and identity. I've worked with the likes of JP Morgan, Microsoft. I've been able to work with the Cabinet Office. I've worked with KPMG. These are some of the clients that I've had the blessing and the opportunity to work with. I've spoken at Oslo Spectrum in Norway, at the She Conference. I've spoken at Wembley Arena in front of 14,000 people, really just sharing my story and sharing pain to purpose. That's really what my story is about. And, you know, when I think about my journey of pain to purpose, I remember when I did get into a place of where I was suicidal, wanted to end my life. And the reason why is there's many reasons, if I'm being honest, but one of the main reasons is that I couldn't live up to the expectations of what everyone else was telling me. I couldn't live up to the expectations of looking good and looking happy. I just wanted to be. And looking killed me. Looking finished me. Looking happy, it finished me. It took me out. And I know many people who are tired of looking. I know many people, you might be even listening to this right now, and you're tired of looking. You're tired of looking wealthy. You're tired of looking happy. You're tired of looking like you have it all together. You're tired of looking whole. You're tired of looking like you're in a good friendship or good relationship. Like, I know so many people who are in toxic friendships, toxic relationships, but they need to look. They're so concerned of looking rather than being. And I remember literally this pressure of like, okay, Hayley, you know, you need to look like you got this client. You need to look like this. You need to have this show reel. You need to have this on your page so that people look like, so people can feel this and people can perceive this about you. And I was just like, no. I remember there was a time when obviously the fact that I work with corporate clients, I do change up the way that I speak sometimes, just simply because of the fact that I can't be going into JP Morgan like, yo, bro, what you saying? Like, of course not. But, you know, there was a time when I found myself losing myself because I wanted to secure the bag. And I think that, especially in a place where, you know, in a time where everyone's like, secure the bag. Okay, you can secure the bag, but you'll lose yourself in the process of it if you are not careful. What is the point of securing something and you're going to lose yourself in the midst of it? And that's what I found myself doing. I was trying to secure Hayley Mulenda and I lost tails. And that's how I ended up in such a toxic place, such a heartbreaking place in 2016, where I nearly tried to take my life at the age of 18. And I told myself, like, I'm never going to allow anyone to get into this place that I've been in. So what do I spend my life doing and my time doing? I spend my time reminding people who they are. I spend my time reminding people that, yo, before you're anything else, you're a human being. I spend my time working with people to build themselves up authentically, because we live in a world where everyone is trying to be someone else. And I always say to all my mentees, all the people that I work with, my clients, the best person you could ever be is you, because everybody else is bloody taken. You can't be anyone else. Everyone else is taken. And it's really important that, you know, you use that time to spend time with you. So we have now reached the end of the Building You podcast. Now, every single week I'm going to release a new episode. So check my socials at Hayley Mulenda. So HayleyMulenda. I'm going to say that again. Hayley, Mike, Uniform Lima, Echo November, Delta Alpha. Sometimes you just have to do it because that's the way it is. So yeah, if you just check out my socials everywhere, www.hayleymulenda.com, that is where the podcast is going to be. It's going to be obviously on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everything. You're going to find it here. Building You Podcast. You do not want to miss it. We are releasing an episode every single week. I want to thank you for tuning into the first podcast episode. Your girl is going to be back with some juicy. The next episode, we're going to really be talking about friendships. And why do I say this? Because we have a standard for everything else, but many of us lack a standard when it comes to our friendships. And I'm going to be challenging your standard of what you feel a healthy friendship is, because many of us feel that, yeah, just because they've been in our life for a long time, that's what a friend is. No, don't allow loyalty. Susan Deborah says this, and I definitely am going to get her on the podcast soon. Susan Deborah says, don't allow loyalty to blind you from character. And many of us have people in our life that you know they're not good for you. You know they are not conducive for you in terms of your growth and in terms of where you're about to go to, but you keep them around because of the years you've known them or because of the loyalty you've attached to them. And sometimes that's not good enough. Sometimes that ain't good enough. Yeah. So please make sure you check us on social, share, tell a friend that Building You podcast is in town. We have finally launched. Tell a friend to plug in, to get into our community. If you just follow me on socials as well, I'm building a Building You community that we're going to basically have accountability on Slack, all things personal development. And in this group chat, we're going to be sharing personal development events that are taking place, my own events as well, because I run something called Building You Masterclass, where we run events, intimate events in the city of London, and we just talk all things personal development. I always get special guests on. I know amazing people in London, amazing influencers, amazing leaders, and they just speak about personal development. And some of the leaders that I personally work with. So I've worked with the executive director and managing director of JP Morgan. I've worked with the corporate vice president of Microsoft. I worked with the CEO of Unilever. So these are some of the people that I've got in my contact. So, let me not give you too much. Let me not give you too much about what's going to take place on the Building You podcast. But just know we here, we out. And I just want to say thank you for listening to this episode. Building You podcast, we out.